So a plant-based diet. And the 7th law is water. We'd like you to maintain full hydration so your body can detox effectively. It's not the odd day. You might have 5 hours just as well, because when you travel like I do, sometimes that happens. It's not the odd day you do it, and it's not the odd day you don't. It's what you do every day that determines the health status of your body. And the last law is trust in divine power. The great God of heaven made this body. The great God of heaven gives us the tools to keep it well. And the great God of heaven blesses every effort to get the body back into good working order.
You are what you eat. If that's true, then every one of us is a mix of sugar, an unhealthy amount of refined carbohydrates, and artificial chemicals, which is basically a recipe for type 2 diabetes, weight gain, and the big C, cancer. But there's one woman fighting the lonely fight of trying to get people to see the big picture. Meet Dr. Barbara O'Neill, a veteran in the field of alternative healthcare. Her mission is simple: reveal the lies sold by food processing companies and help people achieve the best health by natural means.
There are approximately 100 trillion cells in the human body. We have eye cells, we have muscle cells, skin cells, bone cells, brain cells. And to understand how the human body heals itself, we need to go down to the smallest component, which is the cell.
To many, the words of a doctor with no qualifications and no textbooks may sound like those of a madman. But ask the people who gave her a wellness retreat a shot, and you'll be surprised. Hundreds of folks thanked Dr. Barbara for opening their eyes to the truth and putting them on a better path to better health. But is it really the truth? Is Barbara really onto something here? Well, the short answer is yes. As for the long answer, over the years, mankind has made a lot of progress. The growing demands of a population that's always in search of delicious food to satisfy its taste buds have been met thanks to big changes in food and agriculture history. But while most of us focus on munching burgers and chips, we fail to realize that we're actually feeding our bodies poisons. These poisons, marketed as delicious treats, make up 25 to 60% of our diet. But it's not your fault. Food processing companies know exactly what they're doing when they make packaged and heavily processed food. They pump them full of chemicals that make your brain go, whoa. That instant hit of dopamine after that first bite is a lifetime sentence to every disease in the book. But who cares about that? When you've got chocolate, pizza, and Coke?
Food addiction isn't a recognized formal diagnosis, and yet lots of us do feel addicted to certain foods. Now, we diagnose other addictions by asking questions.
One bite, and it's a one-way ticket to heart problems, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, and weight gain. Later on, you've got kids suffering from ADHD. So what do? What do you eat when most grocery stores are filled to the brim with all kinds of processed foods? Well, this is where Dr. Barbara O'Neill comes in. For years, she's been answering the fundamental question that bothers most of us. What should I eat? She believes that God designed the body to heal itself, and the only way to get in contact with that hidden power in every one of us is to go back to our roots. And if that sounds like too big of a change, then wait till you hear about all the ways processed food can bring down your health. According to one study involving more than 100,000 adults, those eating 10% more ultra-processed foods were associated with a 10% increase in the risks of heart and vessel diseases. So, where do you start if you want to avoid processed foods? Well, O'Neill holds all the answers. According to her, you can start by removing oil from your diet. And that goes for the coconut oil and sunflower oil, packaged in neat little bottles at the supermarket. Why, you ask? Simply because these oils are made by heating the seeds at a very high temperature. And the process destroys the natural substances you need.
People use the coconut oil and the olive oil. They can be extracted from the flesh of the plant. But those hard seeds, they couldn't really get the oils out until they developed high heat chemical equipment to extract oil from hard seeds.
But you won't find many folks talking about it. Instead, you'll find bottles labeled with heart healthy, simply because science has concluded that polyunsaturated fat reduces the risk of heart problems. However, people have been going crazy with the use of these oils in the last century or so. That means more omega-6 and omega-3, which has been associated with increased chances of weight gain and heart disease. So, what should you do? Well, Barbara suggests using saturated fats.
If you do fry any food, it should be always in a saturated fat because saturated fat is heat resistant and light resistant.
But what about canola oil, you ask? Well, that's a big no-no in Barbara's books. It's not natural, and anything that's been artificially modified needs to be shown the trash can.
Canola oil is one of the most dangerous because it's been genetically modified to reduce the uracic acid levels in it, because uracic acid is toxic to humans. So it's been genetically modified.
However, according to the alternative medicine genius, there are some ways you can use coconut oil. One is to boost your dental health. In one pilot study, oil pulling with coconut oil for 30 days reduced plaque buildup in 60 participants with gum disease. What's interesting is that our ancestors had been doing this for centuries before big companies introduced toothpaste and mouthwash to fill their pockets. So Barbara isn't exactly introducing something new. She's only connecting us to our history that we seem to have forgotten about in this world of plastic and chemicals. So stick to Barbara's words, and you'll be able to avoid a trip to the dentist, who, according to O'Neill, are doing more harm than good. A large percentage of the population gets root canals once their teeth go bad, but the alternative medicine specialist reveals the reality of the procedure.
You know, the most dangerous thing you can have in your mouth is root canals. The reason for this is a root canal filling is a dead tooth. So there's your jaw, there's the tooth, and it's connected by a periodontal ligament that's connecting it. Now, when someone's got a root canal filling, the root has been taken out.
In her words, the dead space is now a popular hangout place for all kinds of microbes. What's more, the body is naturally programmed to reject something dead. So, the defense cells in your body try to fight off the dead teeth, which can lead to an infection. There are also blood vessels right next to the teeth, which means there's a chance that the infection can spread to the blood and the rest of the body. So, what should you do? Well, take out the root canal.
And if your dentist says, this is ridiculous, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that tooth, I'm not going to do it, I would say, well, if you don't do it, I'll go to someone that will. It's your mouth. You put root canal fillings into the web and you'll get a whole lot of scary stuff.
But there are bigger problems than root canals that weaken our society. Take diabetes, for one. Approximately 38.4 million Americans suffer from diabetes, and these are numbers from 2021. Considering the lifestyle that most people are living these days, it's safe to assume that the number has only gone higher. Some of you might say it's not as dangerous as cancer. But back in 2021, diabetes was linked to the deaths of 103,294 individuals, making it the 8th leading cause of death in the United States. But here's a harsh reality check. Big companies might be responsible for giving us diabetes in the first place. There are entire industries dedicated to manufacturing artificial sugar and carbohydrates, and we're their loyal customers. I guess our grandmas were right when they said that the way to a person's heart is through their stomach. So what do you do then? Let's be real. Those of you who suffer from celiac disease, which basically means that your body can't digest gluten, know how hard it is to go on a gluten-free diet. Big companies don't make things easier for you. The same goes for avoiding everything that causes diabetes. You'll have to put in some effort if you don't want a million health issues later in life.
How can we conquer diabetes? There are certain things that have to stop. So stop the hybridized wheat. Can you get wheat that has not been hybridized? You can. It's called ancient grains. You might have seen bread made out of ancient grains. And they are spelt. Spelt are wild hybrids of the original wheat, and also kamut and inkhorn.
The answers to a better life are out here. You just have to look for them. The same logic applies when you're suffering from the flu. Let's be real. What's the first thing you do when you've got a runny nose and a bad cough that doesn't seem to go away? You'll probably fix yourself some hot soup. And then on the second day, you'll head down to the pharmacy to grab yourself some cold medicine and antibiotics. And that's exactly where the problem starts. These pills are marketed as a lifesaver, a quick fix. Take one, and you'll be good to work in a jiffy, a cheat code. But the reality is that you're only signing yourself up for more problems down the line. The more antibiotics you take, the less effective they become. So the next time you're suffering from something serious and you're prescribed antibiotics, chances are that they won't work.
I'm not against antibiotics. They have saved lives, they are saving lives, they will save lives. But we've got a problem today. It's the overuse of the antibiotic. They're not used for life-saving resorts. Well, they are, but they're also used for a cough, a sore finger, a sore foot.
According to Barbara, you shouldn't head to your nearest doctor when you fall sick. Nature programmed our body to heal itself.
Let the physicians teach the people that restorative power lies not in drugs, but in nature. Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that arise because of a violation of the laws of health.
But you still need to do something when you're sick. Can't be leaving it all up to fate. Well then, you might want to ring up your grandma. She'll have all the answers. Barbara's even kind enough to share her personal recipes with the rest of us. She taught people about the flu bomb, which is a much better alternative to antibiotics for curing the flu.
Give the recipe. It's called a flu bomb. It's got garlic in it. You might crush a clove of garlic. It's got ginger in it, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of finely chopped ginger. It's got a teaspoon of honey. It's got the juice of a lemon. If lemons are scarce, you might do half a lemon. It's got a sprinkle of cayenne pepper. For the very brave, you might do half a teaspoon. And it's got 1 drop of either tea tree oil or eucalyptus oil. And then you put about 1/3 of a cup of hot water with that, and you'll be surprised at what you do next. Drink it.
On that note, Barbara is not about making big changes. Some of her viral lectures emphasize the importance of what we already know, like exercise. Be honest, how many of us take time out of our daily routine to move our bodies? If you've got a 9 to 5, the chances are very low. But Barbara thinks that even as the world forces us to live an inactive lifestyle, we need to rise above and do some good exercises. Physical activity can determine our overall health.
And if we have weak abdominal muscles, we're going to have a weak cardiac sphincter. And so start to do push-ups. Does everyone do push-ups? Sorry, I didn't hear the answer. Time to do push-ups. Can't do push-ups on the floor? Ladies, you can do ladies push-ups on your knees.
Barbara also tackles the big C, cancer, a modern-day curse, and the price you pay for giving into this artificial world. In 2022 alone, there were 22 million cancer cases across the globe. And if we continue on the path that we are on, according to WHO, the world is going to see an increase in cancer by 77% by 2050. And worst of all, the medical community has yet to come up with treatments. The current medications for cancer, like chemotherapy, knock the wind out of patients and come with their own set of side effects. So, what should you do? Well, for the most part, she emphasizes the need for sticking to natural remedies. She has also linked cancer to fungus, which is exactly why if you've got mold in your house, you need to take action.
The link between cancer and fungus. A person can have a fungus yeast in their body and not have cancer, but it definitely can develop into that. So you got to make sure there is no mold in your house. If there is, you got to put your detective hat on and find out why. Is it because there's something wrong with the air conditioner? Is it because there's a leaking tap behind the wall?
She also highlights the importance of drinking water. We've all heard that one before, but Dr. Barbara's reasoning is truly worth listening to. According to her, we need to hydrate our kidneys so they, in return, filter our blood. But some of us are already following the golden rule of drinking 8 glasses a day. Yet, we fail to see results. Well, according to Barbara, it's because most of the population fails to realize something truly important while drinking water, and that's salt. If we want the salt to reach our cells and work its magic, we need water. Much of her remedy and recipe work focuses on connecting man to the 8 laws of health, which include air, water, temperature, sunlight, and more. At the end of the day, it's all about connecting with your body's systems and tapping into the power of nature. And for those trying to find their way, Barbara offers plenty of ways to improve their lives. For example, you could grow aloe vera in your house, place a pot in every corner of your home, and pinpoint the location that makes the plant the happiest, and you've got yourself a personal crop. But the important question is, why would you do it? Well, it's not for the visuals, that much is clear.
Has a growth stimulant in it. So aloe vera stimulates rapid new cells. So that's good news, isn't it? And aloe vera is a little bit slimy. We know it's a little bit slimy. So it's very good at coating, soothing and healing the lining of the gut.
Some of what Barbara has said is not exactly supported by the scientific community, especially not doctors whom she seems to be putting out of business, one person at a time. In fact, she's banned from giving medical advice in Australia for life without a medical degree. But Barbara hasn't let the obstacles in her path distract her from her goal. She's still dedicated to showing people the healthiest way to live life in this artificial world. And if you're feeling unsure about whether you should take her on, well, then how about the fact that this woman is giving hour-long lectures at the age of 70? Not a lot of folks these days hit that number without health complications, unless they've been raised on a good diet from their childhood. But Barbara O'Neill is living proof of her teachings. And that's where the issue is. If a person like Barbara is able to live a full life following her teachings, then why would she be banned? Why is she being shunned when countless people thank her for turning their lives around? It's not like she's promising treatments. She's only offering natural alternatives to pills and chemicals so we can lead better lives. So, what exactly is the problem? Well, the answer's simple. It's because big companies can't exactly fill their pockets. If we stop going to supermarkets and stop buying processed foods, then it's bye-bye millions of dollars. Stop buying antibiotics, and Big Pharma will be in chaos.
Doctors nowadays, 99% are all sold out, okay? They sold their soul to Big Pharma and they only care about money.
Barbara has actually faced a lot of backlash for teaching her way of life to hundreds of people. In fact, her husband, Michael O'Neill, the founder of the Informed Medical Options Party, an anti-fluoride political group, felt the need to document it all in a book titled The Assassination of Barbara O'Neill. The truth is, our health is in our hands, and they don't say you reap what you sow for no reason, you know. You can enjoy your pizza deliveries and chug down bottles of soda drinks, but you'll lose your 40s to doctor appointments and restocking pills that you could have easily avoided if you made the right decisions about what you put in your body when you're young. Are you convinced by Dr. Barbara O'Neill's words? Will you consider switching to her diet plan? Let us know in the comment section below.